Hey, 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 goodness to you. I'm Sporty King. And I always say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Welcome to Gift Friday. I created it because so often we have people say TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. But I say, what allure does Friday have to the person who took their last breath on Thursday? That's why I use what I learned through Proverbs, Psalm 92 and 2. And that is, it is good to proclaim your unfailing love in the morning, your faithfulness in the evening. Therefore, instead of saying TGIF, I learned to use TGIT. I didn't just learn to use it, I created it. And TGIT stands for TGIT. Thank God it's today. And then TGIT, thank God it's tonight. Because to wake up, get a chance to go through a whole day and do it all over again, that's something that we could really be thanking God for. Thus, I add another scriptural lesson to it that I got from Matthew 6 and 34. And that is, so don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Thank God it's tonight. Today's trouble is enough for today. Thank God it's today. Right, because darkness always precedes the light, doesn't it? But that gives us another way to look at TGIF, and that is trusting God is free. Trusting God is free. Think about it. What does it cost you to receive the most precious gift of every day? The gift of waking up. Doesn't cost you a dime. But that still helps us realize that when we take that T and TGIF and move it from the front to the end, we get GIFT and what we should be giving God thanks for all the time. And that is the gift of today. So, Gift Friday is God is for today. And it's the online sharing of one of my inspirational poems or poetic messages that you can share with someone to uplift their life, as well with your family, with your coworkers, with your colleagues, as well as to uplift your life. What I'll do is I'll read my poem or message here on Fridays, and then you'll have the option to receive a colorful keepsake copy if you like, which if you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I'll give you this information at the end again. If you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn and you're not on my mailing list already, you can just email me at sporty@sportyking.com and say, Sporty, send me a copy of the poem, of the gift. If you're watching on YouTube, put that in the comments, not the thread, because the thread gets erased when the broadcast ends. The comment will stay, and then I can get that to you. And because you're doing it there, I'll have your email address already. Okay. But um, today's poem comes from my book, I Found Out I'm Living, an affirmation of life. A book about spiritual awareness. When you recognize that you are not going to be here forever, because the sequel to I Found That I'm Dying, a celebration of life where you understand that you can let go of the physical, then you can accept the spiritual and then really enjoy your life. As I'm affirming my life, okay? And so today's poem is from I Found Out I'm Living. And especially as Valentine's week comes to an end, and for some people, and now they can go back to being who they are, we hear more and more people talk about love. Yet I believe many are using the word so freely that it has little meaning. Almost like when you greet someone and you say, Hey, what's up? And then their answer is, Hey, what's up? They don't really hear one another. And I'm not going to define love for you with today's gift. Instead, I'm going to touch on what it's not. That's why this poem is called What Happens When We Leave God Out of Love? What happens when we leave God out of love? What happens to those around us? What can we really do? What will we really have to share? What happens to me and you? What happens when we leave God out of love? How can we share or be happy? How does that make us feel? How can our relationship remain true? How will we know love is real? What happens when we leave God out of love? Where do we find ourselves? Where is our light? Where is that feeling of satisfaction? Where is that knowledge that says, this is right? What happens when we leave God out of love? Why does our heart become covered with hate? Why don't we care? Why are we so cold? Why do we let love's freshness become stale and then let it become old? What happens when we leave God out of love? Who are we really cheating? Who has the most at stake? Who? Whose heart really breaks? When we leave God out of love, there are no answers, only questions. What? How? Where? Why? Who? Questions that lead to doubt. So before you call it love, make sure that you know what He's all about. What happens when we leave God out of love? You see, so often we want to justify trials and tribulations in our life as acts of God, of the devil. But for me, the twists, turns, and drops in my life have all come compliments of God's love for me and mine for God. There's no power, there's no other power at work in my life. And that may be a hard one to grasp for someone unless we believe in John 19 and 11. Then Jesus said, "You would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above." In answer to Pilate saying, "Don't you realize that I have the power to release you or to crucify you?" The Bible I read is called Touch Point, and it contains modern day application. Oops, I got to do something. Let me see. It contains modern day application to scripture. And the touch point on John 1 through 11 is power. And I didn't set it up but I need to read it to you real quick. Let me find it. John, come to me, John. All right, hang in there. All right, here we go. John 19, 1 through 11. Got to put the glasses on because it's biblical print, y'all. You know that. John 19, 1 through 11. It says power. From a human perspective, Pilate indeed possessed great power. With a wave of his hand, he could send men to freedom or execution. But Jesus speaks of a power that Pilate knows nothing about. It is the power of God to use even human sin to fulfill his divine will. Pilate's considerable earthly power is puny, and pitiful when viewed in light of the power of the cross and the empty tomb. As believers, we must never trust in human power to save us, nor despair when we are victimized by the same earthly power. Rather, we must remember that the power of God that raised Jesus from the dead dwells in our hearts and minds through faith. As believers, we must never trust in human power to save us, nor despair when we are victimized by earthly power. Now, the deeper I look within, the more joy I find in sharing my gift with you. May this poem remind you to stay the path of faith that has been delivered to you today. Know that each of us is in place right now to save a life. Oops. I forgot that was the that was the touch point that I was reading up. Know that there's no life more important to save than yours, because yours is an intricate message that simply must be shared. Meanwhile, here's a bonus poem that asks a different question and needs no explanation. This poem is called "What Would You Do If You Were God?" That's the title. And here's the poem. It's simple. You'd laugh. The book I found out I'm living can be purchased at sportyking.com. If you like a copy of the poem, and as I mentioned earlier, and you're watching on LinkedIn or Facebook and you're not on my mailing list, just email me at sporty@sportyking.com and I'll be able to send you a colorful keepsake copy of both poems. If you're on my mailing list, you know you can just drop it right here in the chat or in the thread, and I'll make sure I ask you. I'm Sporty King, and I wish you a happy Valentine's life. Remember, God is for today. Thank you for enjoying Gift Friday. Ciao. Let me quickly see if there's any hellos over there, and there being none, I can move on and move on. Over and out, y'all. Peace.